Okay, so we're back here. We're picking up our discussion of what's happening, and so with social bond theory. So as we kind of talked about, right? We have a couple things, right? So we have, ooh, that is not on. So we have, stop, attachments. We have beliefs. We have commitment, and we have involvement. So what this ends up creating an issue is, right, is that we are assumed to have these pathways that lead to the decision to commit crime, or not commit crime. So what ends up happening is that we have these things, we create a problem, right? So which of these are going to be like most effective or most strong or going to be most dominant in terms of affecting it? We end up finding, right, like attachment matters quite a bit more, and so is your belief system tend to matter less. These two, involvement and commitment, which actually I'll change colors real quick, tend to not to be less important into decision to commit crime. But there's a bit of an issue when we think about this kind of theory, right? And so when we think about these concepts, right, they're sort of like latent, they're observed, and they're kind of like opaque, right? Like how do we exactly do this? So from a testing standpoint, what is going to be the item here that represents attachment or your belief system, commitment, and your involvement in society? How do we measure those, right? It creates a bit of a pickle because even though there are examples that are used in the past, right, there's always this question about testing as to which of these best represent the theory, the concepts that we're understanding here. So, it's very easy to see like attachment, right? Like I care about what other people think. I think about my family, stuff like that. Our beliefs, we can maybe ask them morality questions, right? Do people do that? But we think about commitment, right? Like what demonstrates like a commitment to the goals of society or a commitment to, earning, being pro-social or a commitment to being involved, right? Like what exactly does that mean? So there's a problem with social bond theory when we think about the testability of it is because the concepts themselves may not be very easy to do. Like how does one demonstrate that is consistent with the theory? So it also leads to some precision or clarity issues in terms of like what do you mean, how we measure this is very clear, right? The actual items may be relatively easy to measure. It could be like it's easy to understand. The other part is like what are the policy implications for this? So if we believe that like social bond theory is important in preventing crime and making sure people do not offend in the future, how do we go about like doing something for that? What makes something, what do we do with this information? And so I think I would challenge y'all to think about policies that we could derive to do this. So what is the challenge is like the policy part. So what do we do with this information if we assume that is true, right? Because sometimes it may be, sometimes it may not be. So what exactly do we do with this information? So, some might argue that we just increase parenting or we create really, dominating messages about what matters, what is right, what is wrong in society. Maybe we make sure there's good parenting or something like that. But, we come from a very multicultural area, and if we don't know like what is the right message to send out or which one is right, then it's not like very good, right? So it leads to a lot of questions about what works, what doesn't, and why or why not. So I think this would be a really interesting packback question is like what kind of policy implications can we derive from this issue? As well as like measurement stuff, like how do we measure someone's commitment to society or their involvement in the community, their attachment to other people, what makes them tick, right?